All right, West Virginia fans, another day, another camp update. A lot to talk about in today's show. We've seen the team bring out Rich Rodriguez. We've seen the team bring out position coaches. So we're starting to see this thing really take shape. So I'm excited to do this video today because I think there's a lot to talk about, mainly with the different position battles that's going on. I think that you're starting to see a lot of things start to heat up around the camp. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. So for starting off, let's talk about the camp competition, right? So the roster is in a really good spot after spring portal additions. I know that Rich Rodriguez was not too pleased with spring ball. He didn't say much, but all he said was that he needed to go back into the portal, and he did, and it's created a lot of great competition in the room. Rich Rodriguez even said in his presser this week, he wants to break the record for number of players played in a game. He wants to have that much depth, and he believes that if you can help the team win, you're going to play. So let's hear from Rich Rodriguez at his presser this week about the camp battles and the camp competition. Let's see it here.
Enough position battles across the board in all the spots to your liking?
From what I've seen in the last 4 days, way more than the spring. I mean, to me, it looks like there's some pretty good position battles going on just about everywhere. So that part I think, again, now we haven't gone live, and that's going to be the real test. We haven't gone live. We've been in shells and shorts, but we got some pretty good competition going on.
Yeah, so you hear Coach there. The competition is definitely heating up around that camp, and competition's a great thing. It brings out the best in people. If you're competing with someone to get their spot, it's only going to raise the level of everyone involved in that competition. And truly, in every position room, there's a competition going on. So I think that's going to help bring out the best in the Mountaineers. It's just the camp competition overall. And again, they're really pleased with the additions they brought in the spring. It seems like a much better roster as of now. Let's talk about the waiver situation before we get into the different rooms. This is still something that is lingering over the program's head. I've mentioned it numerous times. They have to get this solved eventually. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but it definitely needs to happen because each day that passes, these guys are losing opportunities to get reps with the team, and it's important that they get back into camp. Right now, they're kind of working towards their own. So a tough situation there. Again, Rich Rodriguez commented on this this week about the waiver situation. Here's what he had to say.
It's all the guys that decisions have been made in the last few weeks. It's been whatever court they went to or something with that. So that's what a lot of that's obviously out of the players' hands and our hands and all that kind of stuff. So it's but we got to have a plan. Plan if they're good. I hope it's all good and they can play. And if they can't play, does that mean we got to somehow find another guy or get somebody else ready? That's we got to can't put our head in the sand. We got to be ready for either outcome.
All right. So again, he's talking about being prepared just in case they don't have them, and right now that's a reality that could happen. Right, losing these 4 guys would stink, but it has to be the next man up mentality. So it's going to be interesting to see how they address that situation, if they're going to get guys ready or if there's anything available in the portal. I know they keep talking about that, but realistically, what is still left in there? So definitely keep your eye on the situation. I constantly check to see if there's anything new here, but seems right now it's kind of at a standstill. Hopefully these guys get answers soon. Let's talk about the running back room. This was really interesting this week of some of the stuff that came out. Let's talk about the positive, right? So Jaheim White, Joey Porter, a longtime running back coach, said that he thinks Jaheim White is just scratching the surface and has another level that he hasn't gotten to yet that he's trying to bring out in him. Some really good stuff from Coach Porter. Like listening to his presser this week. Let's hear what he had to say about running back Jaheim White.
What does Jaheim do well, and what are you trying to get him to improve upon?
Well, again, I think he has a good skill set. I think he's an elite processor from the standpoint of being able just to navigate space in front of him. But I think that he has a lot of room to grow in every area, and he's learning how to push himself, and we're trying to get him to that point. But he has a lot of room to grow. I think he's just scratching the surface of what he can ultimately become. But again, it's that standard, and it's our job or my job to take him where he can't take himself. And that's kind of what we're working through right now.
Yeah, and that's a sign of a good coach, right? You want to get the best out of the players that you're dealt with. At West Virginia, we mainly get 3-star athletes, right? We don't get a lot of 4 stars. We definitely don't get any 5 stars. It's been a long time since we had one of those. So you have to do what's best and what works in your room. So Jaheim is someone that we can build off of. I think, again, he's very explosive, and we're really excited to see what he does this year in this offense. He had 2 800-yard seasons the last 2 years in his true freshman and 2 sophomore year. I think he can get to that 1,400 mark, yard mark if he really progresses the way he should. I think this guy, again, he has a big opportunity ahead of him, especially with what we're going to talk about next. So only 4 backs have been consistently practicing this week. That's Jaheim White, Hubbard, Katzer, and Ash. So if that's the case, Jaheim might see his workload even increase more than it was last year, because then he's definitely the top guy. I also think, too, speaking of the guys that are not playing, this might be a huge opportunity for some of the guys that are in that battle, right? So a Katzer, Dior Hubbard, someone who has a chance now to get more reps in practice and really make a good impression on the coaching staff. So keep an eye on Hubbard and Katzer, because now they might have the opportunity to shine. It's going to be tough. I hope we can get Ty Edwards back, and I hope Bowers and Jalen Knighton have a chance to get back into the room soon. I'm not sure what their injury situation is. I just know that we're a little banged up this week, so hopefully they get them back, because they definitely need the depth at running back for how much they want to run the ball. Again, they talked about some portal additions and things like that. Again, I don't know how realistic that is, but that's kind of the update on the running back room. Just keep your eye out for more information again with Ty Edwards, and then the injury situation. Hopefully those guys get back on the field soon. Let's talk about the wide receiver room a little bit. One of the main things that they talked about in the press conferences this week was perimeter downfield blocking. They said if you want to be a receiver in this room, you are going to be expected to block on the perimeter and make plays for the quarterbacks and the running backs and the receivers and all that. So that's going to be the expectation. That's going to be the standard set in camp. Travis Trickett actually spoke about this at his presser. Let's see what he had to say about perimeter blocking from the wide receiver position.
If you watch college football in the last 15, 20 years, the best offenses, especially doing what we do as a spread offense with 3 receivers or more, the best offenses are physical perimeter blockers. Every single one of them.
There you go. So again, they are going to want to see guys on the perimeter blocking and making plays for people. So I think it's an interesting thing, right? The guys that block now, besides the pass catching, are going to find their way on the field. They also shared a little bit about returning punts. So Rodney Gallagher, Man Singleton, Bowie, and Preston Fox were getting reps at punt returner this week. So again, I like that room. I think they each bring something different. I know Fox has done a really good job at that in the past. It's good to see Rodney Gallagher be used in different ways, because I think he can do a lot with the ball in his hands. And Singleton too, he put up big numbers at Eastern Michigan last year. So I think all these guys are talented. So that should be a fun competition too. I know they said they were going to definitely stress them a little bit more in that situation moving forward. Offensive line. So let's talk about offensive line. On a down note a little bit, Aiden Bustle decided to step away this week from the team to deal with his health. So again, we don't know anything about that. So we just want to wish him well. Sometimes you have to take care of yourself. So that clears up a spot for someone at least. Again, I'm not sure what Bustle's role would have been this year, but he's going to be heading out at least for the near future. So best of luck to him. I hope he can rebound. The offensive line could be ahead of schedule though, right? On a positive note, you can see the quote here. Rich Rodriguez said it's a very conscientious group. Mentally, assignment wise, they're really sharp mentally. And I highlighted that because that means a lot. So again, if this offensive line can gel quickly and they're ahead of schedule, I think that's a good sign for the program overall. Again, that camp battle should be fascinating with all the different pieces. And you have guys from FCS and Group of 5 and Power 5. So Fun battle to watch, but I think so far so good. We've gotten some good feedback as far as what the offensive line room looks like. Is again a big difference from the spring. In the spring, there wasn't too many positive things to say about the offensive line, where now I think with the competition and the guys you brought in, it's really starting to gel better based on what we heard this week at media days. Defensive line. So defensive line is in a good position too, it seems like. Again, Rich Rodriguez talked about the competition being much improved since the spring from the guys they brought in, and he really likes the experience that should be Hammond Russell, not Hubbard. So with Hammond Russell, Eddie V, and some of the guys they brought in, Rich Rodriguez actually talked about the defensive line in his press conference. Let's hear from him.
Full pad yet, but how do you like your defensive line so far?
I think we're more athletic. A little bit. It looks like we got some pretty good competition from the guys that we added since the spring. Pretty active group. There's just, Eddie V's played a little bit. Ham, Nate, some of the other guys have played at other places. So I think our competition, we picked up some DNs. Our competition is so much better than it was, 3 or 4 months ago, which is, I think competition at every position elevates the guys.
Like you said before, we're saying competition is huge. It elevates everyone. So good to hear there, right? The defensive line seems like they're in a good spot. And he just seems more relaxed now talking about, the offensive line and the defensive line from the spring. It seems like there's been a major improvement and he's happy with the competition there. Again, I'm really excited to see like Hammond Russell and Eddie V this year and what they can do. Guys that have stayed with the program and should be rewarded for that. Linebackers. So the linebackers, Zach Alley spoke earlier in the week. He's impressed with the room overall. He likes the mix of veterans and young players, even the walk-ons that they're bringing. He thinks they're learning from each other. I'm going to play a clip from Zach Alley this week that he talked about this week as well, where he talked about being a linebacker means that you have to be a leader of that room. You're in charge of the defense. So we're going to play this about the expectations of what it takes to be a linebacker at West Virginia this year.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of leaders, that are starting to emerge. Today was a lot better than the other day as far as communicating and talking. I tell them, man, it's on you. You don't get the check to the safety, like that's you. The D line's lined up wrong, that's your fault. Like everything's on us, and that's the way that I want my guys to think. And so me being All-American, that's what they do. They fix everybody all the time. And so just preaching the intelligence and the understanding and all the things that go with being a great linebacker, to get the room to elevate as a whole. We've got really good competition right now. That helps. We brought in a couple guys. We had some freshmen come in as well. Even some of our walk-ons that we brought in are good players. So I think that's making everybody get better because they're watching the other guys, play well out there as well.
I guess, I should have just named this video competition because that's the main theme here, right? Everyone's talking about the standard and competition. And I really like guys like Chase Wilson and Reed Carrico and John Lewis in this room because, like you said, you have to be a leader of the defense. And those guys have played a lot of football. They've seen it at different levels. So I think they all bring something that can help lead the defense. So those three guys, I think, will definitely have a major impact. And I think that they're going to have good seasons. So watch out for them. Even guys like Ben Bogle, who's played a lot of football. I think we're in a good spot there. And then let's talk secondary. Okay, so they talked about being multiple and how they can do different things and putting the guys in the best position to make plays. Again, they said the players that prove themselves and can help the team will play, right? So if you can prove in practice that they can trust you, and that you can bring something to the table that can help them win, they're going to play you. So like Rich Rod said earlier this in the video, he said that he wants to set a record for the number of players that play in a game to help them win. He's not against that, especially with all the senior experience that you've brought in. So I found that interesting. Rod West actually talked to the media this week about this room. So I pieced together 2 clips from that one, just because I think it's really important for the fans to know kind of what he said and what's going to get people on the field.
back to the attributes a little bit. Have you got to see enough of your corners yet to see if you have those attributes that you find important?
Yes, sir. I like where we are. We're nowhere near a finished product. That's the purpose of camp. I think the guys are working hard. I think we have all the necessary tools to be successful. I just have to do a good job as a coach and keep pushing them to bring everything out of them. But I think all of the physical tools are there. We just got to fine-tune some things over the next few weeks.
At one spot, maybe ready for an opportunity at another.
Great question. The thing I look for most is just, number one, can they make plays? It's our job. If we have 13 guys that's consistently making plays, so we'll grade every day and grade production. If you're going to be top of the board production-wise, then we have to find different ways to get you on the football field. So if you're making plays and if you can retain the knowledge at multiple spots, then we'll find a way to get you on the field.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, we did a video yesterday about the defensive back room and the secondary, and that's kind of what we said. There's so many playmakers that have played a ton of football that it's kind of hard to piece together where you stand. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for guys to play, and they just have to show it in practice. So they get a lot of good work in practice because West Virginia's offense goes so fast that they're seeing a ton of plays and a ton of volume. So all good stuff. I really liked what the coaches said. It was nice to hear from the assistant coaches this week. We haven't really heard from them much as of late, and it's nice to kind of know those guys. And I just trust the staff based on what they're saying in practice. Good stuff. All right, and let's talk about the final thoughts here. So again, based on what has been reported and based on what the coaches are saying, the roster has definitely improved, right? They brought in about 20 new guys in the portal, and then plus the high school guys and walk-ons. This roster has improved since the spring, which is awesome, and we're glad to hear that. Rich Rodriguez and the staff is clearly building a standard and a culture for winning. I think that's one thing, the coaches think very, very highly of Coach Rodriguez, and it shows that he's passing down the standard to them, and they're passing it on to the players. And you can feel that with the media opportunities and what they're saying. So they're saying all the right things. Full pads are coming soon, and guys are definitely going to begin to separate themselves, right? So far, they've been in like shells and things like that. The full pads are going to start coming, and that's when you're going to start seeing guys separate from the other guys, right? So again, a lot to be positive about. I'm going to keep making these videos as we get more information and definitely keep everyone in the loop and kind of give my opinion on it. Really appreciate everyone that's subscribed to the show so far. Like I said, we've only been in business for 8 weeks, and we've definitely gained a lot of momentum. So if you're a Mountaineer fan, definitely like and subscribe. Leave a comment about what you think about the team. I really appreciate everyone. I hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend. Let's go Mountaineers. Have a good night.